Good afternoon. This year's Refuah Shalem Simcha Bat Rivka and Nady Charles Ben Chaya and Yehuda Chaim and Esther Sarah Refuah Shalema and Leila Nishmat Tzvi Dov Ben Chaim Pesach, Yitzchak Ben Sarah Devar Bas Yitzchak, Shua Ben Shmuel, Mordechai Netzach Ben Rivka, Chaim Ben Gedalia, Zamalei Ben Moshe, Chaim Elio Ben Yosef, Moshe Amichai Ben Yaakov, Gedalia Ben Tzvi Ruvain, Leila Nishmatam. Today's topic is, why did God make himself homeless? Okay? We sinned, why did God make himself homeless? But first, did you hear the story about this reform shul who hired a new rabbi, Elisheva? Now, all my stories are true, but some did not happen yet. This reform shul hired a new young rabbi. You hear this, Shirley? So the first meeting with the president, he has to give a sermon every Shabbos morning. The president says you have to speak every Shabbos morning, a lecture, but you cannot speak about Shabbat, you can't speak about family purity laws, you can't speak about kashrut, only speak about Judaism. Not Shabbat. Okay. Why did God make himself homeless? Before we get to our sheets, there's a pasuk in Yecheskel 36. God says, Loi lemanchem ani oseh. Kim Shem Kochi. Why will I bring the final geula? Says God. Not for your sake. It's not on the sheets. We're not up to the sheets yet. Ezekiel 36. God says, not for your sake will I bring the final geula. Because of Hashem Kochi Achalantem Bagoyim. You desecrated my name, and therefore I have no choice, God says, but to what? To bring what? The Geulah. God says, Ezekiel 37, V'kedashti eshmi hagodol amchul al bagoyim. The very fact that Jews live in Shmutz La'aretz, says Yecheskel 36, constitutes a grave chil Hashem. So therefore, God will bring the Geulah in order to stop the Chil Hashem of Yidden living among Goyim. So God has to bail us out because we're too big to fail. Unlike Lehman Brothers, remember them? They went belly up. We're too big to fail. Okay? And therefore what? There's a pasuk in Tilim, Kuf Lamed Zayin. Al Narois Bavel, by the rivers of Babylon, Sham Yoshavnu Gam Bochinu. Sham Yoshavnu Gam Bochinu. We sat by the rivers of Babylon when the Babylonians took us into exile. Tilim 1:3, we cried. It says Gam Bochinu. We also cried. When we remembered Zion, what's the Gam? We cried by the rivers of Babylon. Yehuda. We cried. What's the gam? The song doesn't have the gam. What do you mean gam? So the Zohar Kodesh says gam. Who's the gam? We cried, and who else cried? Kodesh Baruch Hu. Shirley, how'd you know that? God also cried. We are in the same boat with our Kodesh Baruch Hu. So God has to bail us out because we're too big to fail. That's pretty incredible. We remember Tzion. HaKadosh Baruch Hu also cried. It's interesting that Pashas Pinchas, that we always read during the 3 weeks, we read all about the Karbanot of the Mayadim. It's very strange, Rachmiel, that Pashas Pinchas, we read about the happy festival days. That's Bein HaMitzarim. Why are we reading the happy Yom Tovim in Pinchas during the 3 weeks of mourning? So Bnei Yisachar, my grandfather answered, the great-grandfather, there's a pasuk in Yecheskel, Tzom HaRevi v'Tzom HaChamishi, the fast of the 4th month, which is what? Shivos B'Tammuz, and the fast of the 5th month, which is what? Tisha B'Av, Yeh l'sosan u'l'simcha, will become what? Days of joy and celebration. U'me'adim tovim. So Zechariah chapter 8 says that Tisha B'Av and Shivos B'Tammuz will not be canceled, Chanoch, they'll be turned into what? Me'adim tovim. Miyadim Tovim. Yomim Tovim, Miyadim Tovim. So therefore, it's matim to read the Miyadim Tovim in Pinchas during these 3 weeks of mourning, because Shivos B'Tammuz and Tisha B'Av, those days will become Yom Tovim. So the 3 weeks in between will become Chalamod. So it's matim to read the Pasha Miyadim Dafke during the 3 weeks of mourning, because Shivos B'Tammuz and Tisha B'Av will become Yidei Simcha Miyadim Tovim. Now the question is, why will Tisha B'Av and Shivos B'Tammuz become a Yom Tov? Isn't it enough just to cancel the fast? Why will they become Yom Tovim? Zechariah 8 says they'll become Yom Tovim. Why? Why? You're right, but why? Beautiful, Rachmiel. We're going to go back to plan A. What took place on Shivos B'Tammuz? Let's think. Shivos B'Tammuz, Benjamin, is 40 days after Shavuos. Look at your calendar. Moshe came down with the Luchot. Shivos B'Tammuz was supposed to be a great day of celebration. That's the day when God gave us the first tablets. But no, golden calf disco, so Moshe Rabbeinu broke it. So it became a day of sadness. But when Mashiach comes, we're going to go back to plan A. Shivos B'Tammuz will become a Yom Tov, says Zechariah 8, because that was plan A. That's the day when God delivered us the first tablets. It's Matan Torah. It didn't work out because we had the golden calf. But when Mashiach comes, we'll already done the Tikkun, David. So we're going to go back to the future. It'll become a Yom Tov because that was plan A. And Tzom HaChamishi, the fast of Tisha B'Av, will become a Moed. Why? Plan A, ma? What took place on Tisha B'Av, says the Gemara in Tainis? The Meraglim came back on Tisha B'Av. If they came back with a good report, Pisgat Zev, here I come. We're going to Kiryat Moshe today. Tisha B'Av should have been a day of what? Of great celebration. We're entering Kiryat Moshe. Rav Avram, where do you live? Rechavia. We're entering Rechavia. Celebrate. But no, they came back with a what? A negative report. Sabotage. But the Mashiach comes, Shro Baruch, will have paid the price. Will have been mitaken the chetam araglim. So Tisha B'Av it'll be a Yom Tov because it was meant to be a Yom Tov, Sharona. Right. Plan A, that's the day the Meraglim came back. If they'll come back with a good report, what greater joy could be than this is the day we enter Eretz Yisrael. Celebrate, but no. Okay, sabotage. When Mashiach comes, the Tikkun will have made, so Tisha B'Av will assume its original characteristic, says Zechariah 8. That's the day we're coming to Kiryat Moshe. Can there be a greater joy than making Aliyah? Chanoch, that was Tisha B'Av, plan A. We're going to go back to plan A. Why did God make himself homeless? That's the question. You take a look at your sheet where it says Tehillim, Mizmor al-Asaf. See Mizmor al-Asaf? Tehillim Ayin Tes, Mizmor al-Asaf. A song, who was Asaf? Korach's grandson. Elohim. I'm reading Tehillim Ayin Tes Aleph. I think it's underlined. No, in yellow? Mizmor al-Asaf. A song for Asaf. Asaf was a Levite prophet singer, a grandson of whom? Korach. Elohim, God. Bo goy menachosecha. The PLO have entered your inheritance. Timu et heichal kodshecha. They've defiled your holy sanctuary. Sama to shalayim li'im. They've turned Yerushalayim into what? A heap of rubble. So why is Asaph singing about it? He should be lamenting. You hear Rashi's question, Benjamin? Why is Asaph singing? He should be lamenting. The Goyim have destroyed the Beis HaMikdash, turned Jerusalem into a pile of rubble. What's there to sing about? So Rashi asked the question. You look at Rashi Aleph Le'iyim. What does Le'iyim mean, Yehuda? You see that? It's underlined in yellow. Legalim, a heap of rubble. Umau Mizmor. So why is Asaph singing? Take a pill and lie down. Haloi Kina, he should be lamenting. Elefi Shenemar, since there's a pasuk in Eicha, Kilo Hashem et Chamoto, God has vented his fury. Eicha 4, God has vented his fury. V'makila, how did God vent his rage? Vayatzet Eish B'Tzion. When a fire destroyed the Beis Hamikdash, God vented his fury. So therefore, Mizmor V'Shir, it's taka a song. Sheshafach chamosai al eitzim v'alavanim. God poured out his anger, surely on what? On the stone wooden building. But he did not destroy the Jewish people. The Jewish people were so sinful that we deserved to be destroyed. So instead of that, God channeled his anger and destroyed his house. God made himself homeless. So therefore, it's an act of chesed. Instead of destroying us, he destroyed his own house. So therefore, Asaph is what? Singing. Yeah. Singing. And therefore, on Tisha B'Av, we're going to do something very strange. The Talmud in Taina says, on Tisha B'Av, when did the temple burst into flames? Late afternoon on Tisha B'Av. So we do something strange. In the morning of Tisha B'Av, we sit on the floor. We do not put on talis and tefillin like a mourner. On Tisha B'Av afternoon, we get up off the floor and you put up talis and tefillin. And Sephardi women have a strange custom, Yehuda. On Tisha B'Av afternoon, they make sponja. They make sponja. How do you say that in English? Isn't it bizarre, Elisheva? The exact time when the temple burst into flames, which was what? Tisha B'Av afternoon, then you're making sponja. And you get up off the floor and what? You put on talis and tefillin. At the moment when the temple is destroyed, Madua Valama. I'll tell you why. In the morning, Tisha B'Av morning, before the temple burst into flames, the Jewish people felt, perhaps it's all over. Perhaps it's all over. We have no future. Once they saw the temple burst into flames on Tisha B'Av afternoon, what did they do? They got up off the floor. If God is willing to destroy his house, we have a future. Sponja. Strange custom the Sephardi ladies have.
It's like David.
Sponja. How do you say sponja in English?
Clean.
Clean. They take out the vacuum. Tisha B'Av afternoon, when the temple burst into flames, that's when you vacuum your house, David? Yeah. If God is willing to destroy his own house, that's a simon, that's our insurance policy that we will survive forever. So that's the time to get up off the floor and put on talis and tefillin. In the morning, when the temple is not destroyed yet, perhaps it's all over. But once the Jews saw that God was willing, here is David, to destroy his own house, that guaranteed our eternal survival. If we have a future, get up off the floor, put on talis and tefillin, and clean your house.
Like King David with his baby dog.
Exactly, the temple burst into flames. If God is willing to make himself homeless for our kapara, that guaranteed what? Our survival. So why should we mourn? We never saw the temple. Imagine your parents are homeless for 2,000 years. How would you feel? Our parent has been homeless for 1,949 years. If that doesn't make us sad, I don't know what should. So God destroyed his own house. That's an assurance policy that we will survive. But we're responsible for making our parent homeless. That should make us sad. That should make us sad, what? On Tisha B'Av. So that's why in Tisha B'Av afternoon, bidiyuk at the moment when the temple burst into flames, that's when we lighten Avelut. we should what? Double Avelut. But no. If God is willing to destroy his own house, that's a siman, assurance policy that we will survive. Therefore, we have a future. The temple's destruction guaranteed our what? Our survival. But it's even more than that. It's even more than that. Now look at Pasuk Bet in the text of Tehillim. Nosnos nivlas avadecho machal of hashamayim. Besar chasidecho lechaitai oretz. The dead bodies became, so many dead bodies, food for what? For the birds. Besar chasidecho. The flesh of your chasidim became what? Chaita oretz. So Rashi wonders, Rashi Bet wonders, the Jewish people were wicked. That's why the Churban came. We committed 3 cardinal sins. We were wicked. Why is God calling us Chasidecha? They didn't wear a shtreimel, a chusid. The Jews were wicked and corrupt and immoral. Why does God say in Pasuk Bet Yehuda, Bisar Chasidecha? Rashi says, Bet, see Rashi Bet, I think it's underlined, no? They were wicked. A person is wicked. Once a person got his punishment, now he's called what, Shirley? A chusid, even without a shtreimel. You hear this? Rashi says something incredible. A person's a rasha. Once he received his punishment, even without tshuva. You see the Rashi, Rabbi Avraham? Yeah. Harayim chasidim b'li shtreimel. V'cheinu oimeh, how does Rashi know that? Nikla chicha kivin shalaka achichoi. A person gets malchus, he's called a rasha, he gets malchus. Kivin shalaka, once the rasha received his malchus, now he's called what? He ain't heavy, he's my brother. How to get that in? That's right. David, once he got root canal, Reb Nachum is no longer a rasha. The incredible thing is, Golda, even without tshuva, that's incredible. How much God loves a person. A rasha who receives his root canal, even without tshuva, now he's not called a rasha, now he's called what? A chusid. A chusid. That's what, look at Pasuk Bet. Look at Pasuk Bet. Now, let's analyze Pasuk Aleph. Mizma Lasaf. Boy goyim nachlasecha. The goyim have come to your heritage, God. See Pasuk Aleph in the Mizma Lasaf? But we got a problem here because in Echa Perik Hey, God calls the temple Nachlotenu. Nachlotenu. What does Nachlotenu mean? Our heritage. Here, God calls the temple Nachlosecha.
Your heritage.
Make up your mind, God. Is the temple our heritage, or is the temple what? Your heritage. Yireh, we got a problem here. Psalms seems to contradict Lamentations. So let's see what's going on over here. What's going on? So, to answer this question, we will what? Another, is the temple, God, your heritage, as Psalm 79 says, or is the temple, Lamentations 5, our heritage? And why should I care, Yehuda? Stay tuned. The Rambam says that Kiddusha Shloima Batla, once the temple that Solomon built was destroyed, the Kiddusha of the land of Israel became Batl. How do you say Batl in English? Nullified, canceled. Aval Kedushas Ezra, but the temple that Ezra built, Loy Batla. That Kedusha is eternal even without the building. Says the holy Rav Soloveitchik, and Rabbi Yitzchak will like this. Yirmiyah in Eicha is speaking about Bayit Rishon. When did Yirmiyah live? Yehuda. Bayit Rishon. Lamentations 5. He calls the Beis HaMikdash Nachlotenu. Because the Rambam says, Kiddusha Shloima Batla. Once Shloima's temple was destroyed, Kaput, finito. So therefore, the Bayis Rishon, where Yirmiyahu is an eyewitness, Zat Nachloseinu. It's all over. But Mizbar Lasaf, in Perik Ayin Tes Aleph, Mizbar Lasaf, says Rav Soloveitchik, is speaking about Chorban Bayit Sheni. Bayit Sheni. What's that called, Yehuda? Pasuk Aleph? Bo Goyim Benachlatecha. God, it's your problem. Ooh. The temple is your heritage, God. Because Kedusha Shloimeh was bottled. But Kedushas Ezra, which is Bayis Sheni, even without the building, is eternal, says Rambam. So if it's eternal, says Asaf, Nachlotecha, God, it's your heritage. It's your problem. God, you got to fix it. You hear? So now the $64 question, why is Kedushas Shloimeh bottled, Yehuda, and Kedushas Ezra is not bottled? Good questions. I'm glad you asked. Says the great Rav Soloveitchik, Kedushas Shloimeh, how did Shloimeh get Kedusha Beit Yisrael? His father went to war and conquered Jerusalem for him from the Jebusite. Kedusha Shloimeh came through the wars of his father David, surely, who conquered the city for him. Comes another war of the Babylonians, and what? Remember Spy versus Spy, Yehuda? Mad Magazine, war versus war. Shloimeh Melech's Kedusha came through the wars of his father David. Yes. Read the book of Samuel and the book of Kings. Comes along the Babylonians with their war versus David's war. So therefore, Kedusha Shloimeh was bottled, because the Kedusha came through the wars of David. Now the Babylonians waged war against war. So that Kedusha is only temporary. And therefore, Yirmiyahu called the Bayis Rishon in Echad Nachloteinu. But Bayis Sheni, listen, the Rav must have been prophetic. He said this 50 years ago on a tape, or 60 years ago in Yiddish. Kedushas Ezra, did Ezra sanctify the Beis HaMikdash and the Second Temple period through war? Yehuda. No, settlers. Settling the land. Look at the book of Ezra. Kedushas Ezra was not through war, but it was through settlements, says the great Rav Soloveitchik, 60 years ago. Look at the book of Ezra. Settlements, says the great Rav Soloveitchik. Settlements. Oh, I said the word. Settlements. That's eternal. Was the Rav Ruach HaKodesh? Ooh, wee, wee.
Today. Wow.
I'm glad I had those tapes from... Imagine 60 years ago, a guy brought a tape recorder to Rav Soloveitchik's shir. A tape recorder 60 years ago looked like a giant suitcase.
Yeah. We're living it.
Yeah. But Baruch Hashem, those tapes in Yiddish. Ezra was Mekadesh not through war. War cancels war. Ezra's war, Shlomo's war was canceled by the Nebuchadnezzar's war. But by Sheni, the Second Temple period, the Kedusha was not through war, it was through settlement. That, says the Rav, is eternal. So therefore the Rambam says, Kedushas Ezra is never bottled. Never bottled. Yeah. Therefore, God, it's nachlosecha. It's your heritage, God. Settlements. Ooh.
That's why they keep trying to keep us from settling.
Isn't that incredible? Why Asaf says nachlotecha, God, it's your problem, and Eicha says nachloseinu, it's our problem. Whose problem is it? Rabbi Abraham, it depends which temple. Ezra didn't conquer through war. He conquered the land, David, through settlements. That, says Rambam, is Kedusha, eternal Kedusha, not Shata. So God destroyed his house as an insurance policy, what? that we survived. He vented his, how do you say vent? He vented his rage on the building, guaranteeing our survival. Right? But there's another reason why God destroyed his house. A much more problematic reason. If you turn the sheet over to side B.
Because we thought that the temple would protect us from everything.
Ooh, Chava, don't steal my thunder. Side B, side B. How could God allow such blasphemy? In the second temple, the Gemara in Gittin tells us, Titus took a harlot into the Kodesh HaKadoshim, and he had sex with her. And God did not strike him dead. Isn't that
Really bizarre.
bizarre? Ad kedei kach. Ad kedei kach. Titus. Such blasphemy. And God did not strike him dead. Why? Why? What?
Didn't Titus say aloud that God has no power on the land? I can do this in the Holy Temple.
And why did he not drop dead? So let's see what Jeremiah says about this. Jeremiah was a prophet. And what's the message on side B? You with me on side B? Jeremiah chapter 7. The word of God that came to Jeremiah. I think it's source number 1, right, Elisheva? Jeremiah 7, Pasuk 1. The word came to Jeremiah saying, stand in the gate of the house of Hashem and proclaim their word. And say, listen to the word of Hashem. All Yehuda who come into these gates to bow down before Hashem. Pasuk 3. Koyomar Hashem Tzavois. So says the Lord of hosts. What's the host? What's the host, Avram?
The army.
No, the Lord, Hashem Tzavois, the God of the galaxies. Billions of, not planets, there's trillions of galaxies. So says the Lord of the galaxies, God of Israel. Improve your ways and your deeds. You've got to change your evil ways. The song by Santana comes from Jeremiah, David. They got everything from us. You've got, I'm not making this up, look at source number 3. You've got to change your evil ways. Da-da. Otherwise, who needs your korbanos? Who needs your davening? Get lost. If you don't change your evil ways. Now look what they kept saying, as Chava said, Reb Nochem. Look at number 4. Al tiftachu lechem al divrei hasheker. Dalid. Benjamin, don't listen to fake news. I'm not making this up, David. Look at Pasuk 4. Fake news. Al tiftachu lechem al divrei hasheker. Do not rely on fake news. Lamor, what were they saying in Pasuk Dalid? 4. Heichel Hashem, Heichel Hashem, Heichel Hashem. No sweat. We can do what we want. We have a good luck charm. What's it called? The temple. They kept saying fake news. Right? Wine, women, and song. Because God is not going to put himself out of business, shall he? They kept saying in Pasuk 4, don't rely on fake news. The temple of the Lord, the temple of the Lord, the temple of the Lord. We got it made in the shade. We have a good luck charm. We are protected. Oh. So strange as it sounds, the temple, Benjamin, became the excuse for sin. See, God had no choice but to destroy the temple, Dr. Hackett. The temple became the excuse for sin. We could do what we want. God is not going to put himself out of business, Golda. He's not going to make himself homeless. So strange as it sounds, the temple was their license to sin. They kept saying, Heichal Hashem. What does that mean, Heichal Hashem? We have the temple. Jeremiah says it's fake news. Yehuda, they got everything from us. Yehuda, fake news. Pasuk 4. What do you got to do? Pasuk 5. Improve your ways and your deeds. What's the ikar? Tasu mishpat ben ish ben re'ehu. Incredible. How come God doesn't mention Shabbos? Yehuda, I'm very strange. Look at 5. What does God want? Mishpat ben ish ben re'ehu. Perform justice between what? Man and man. What about Shabbos, Connie? It looks like they were keeping Shabbos. They were keeping Shabbos. They were Haredi. But they were mean and cruel to each other. So Jeremiah doesn't mention Shabbos and Nida and Kashrus. Why not, Dr. Hackett? Because they were keeping those. But they were mean and cruel to each other. Still sadly, Elisheva. Look at Pasuk 5. What good is your Shabbos and Kashrut if you're mean and cruel to each other and you're cheating each other? What good is your Shabbos? Chanoch, today's headlines. Look at Pasuk 6. Ger v'yos amana. You do not, if you do not oppress the ger tzedek, the widow and the orphan, and you do not shed innocent blood in this place. What innocent blood? Jews are not Carlo Gambino. Da 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 da. Are the Jews Carlo Gambino, Shelley? What?
With our tongue.
Elisheva, you stole my thunder again.
Sorry, you're a good teacher, Rabbi. I learned it all from you.
Number 6, don't spill blood, as Elisheva said, not Carlo Gambino in a violin case. Killing me softly with words, David. Killing me softly with words. Killing me softly. They got everything from us, Ruthie. When you speak Lashon Hara, you're shedding the person's blood. That's what Jeremiah means. I think it's called in English character assassination. They got it from Jeremiah 6, Yehuda. Character assassination. We know what that's all about, unfortunately. That's called spilling blood without a Tommy gun. That's what he means. Pasuk 6. So if you change your evil ways, Pasuk 7, what does he say in Pasuk 7? V'shachanti, what?
Dwell in this
And I will allow you to dwell in this place, in the land that I gave your fathers from your days of eternity. If you get your act together and stop being cruel and swindling each other, I'll allow you to remain in Eretz Yisrael. But no, Pasuk Hey, you with me? Hine atem botchim lachem al divrei sheker. But you continue to rely on fake news. Who said that? David, I can't make this up. David, Jeremiah from 2,700 years ago. Fake news.
So Ivanka Trump studied this.
Yeah, Ivanka Trump must have studied this. I don't know. 5. No, 8. Slicha. 8. Slicha, I'm sorry, Elisheva. 8. Behold, you rely on fake news of no avail. You keep saying, as long as you have the good luck charm, God will not destroy his own house and make himself homeless. You can go on being cruel and swindling and character assassination each other. We have the magic shrine. What's it called, Abraham? The magic shrine? The temple. Pasuk Chet. Hine atem botchim lachem al divrei sheker. Don't rely on fake news. Look at number 9, Reb Chanoch. Look at number 9. Will you steal? Murder. Now, murder doesn't mean with a submachine gun. We're not what? Don Corleone.
No, we're not.
Murder means what, Ruthie?
Thieves.
With our mouths. Slandering is called murder. The Rambam says when you slander someone, you murder 3 people, says the Rambam. The speaker, the listener, and the guy being talked about. You murder 3, says Rambam. Pasuk 9, will you steal, slander, commit adultery, swear falsely? Your guy owes money and he says he doesn't owe money, Elisheva. Offer up to Baal, and you think you can get away with it? You think you can get away with it? Pasuk 10, Yud, 10. Ubata madal fanai, and you come and stand in front of me. Babayit hazeh, in this house. Ashnik v'shmi, although my name is called it. V'amartem, what do you say? Nitzalnu, Rabbi Avram, maza nitzalnu. We're safe, we got it made in the shade. We have the magic good luck charm. The temple. No sweat. Laman asot eskola ta'evo se'ele. That you can continue to commit all of these abominations. All of these abominations. What does the Torah call a to'eva? Gay marriage.
Yeah.
Nebuch. Nebuch. You hear?
Everywhere.
Nothing has changed in 2,700 years.
Yeah. Same old sin.
Same old, same old. It's like a broken record. Now look at 11. 11. This is God speaking through the mouth of Jeremiah. How many years ago, Yehuda?
25.
More, come on.
30.
First temple. First temple. 2,600 years, close to 2,700 years ago. 11. Has this house upon which my name is called become a cave of what? I can't understand that word, Yehuda. 11. A cave of what? Yeah, what does that mean? Watch your language. What does that mean? Yehuda, what does that mean? Rabbi Avram, mazeh. Preach him, hoy b'bayit hazeh. Mazeh paritzim. Breaking all boundaries. If it feels good, let it all hang out. I too have seen it, says Hashem. And I'm going to destroy my house. You don't believe me? God says, you think I'm threatening you? Look at Pasuk 12. Look at Pasuk 12. For go now to my place in Shiloh. Remember, where was, when the Jews came to Israel, they set up a Mishkan, where in Shiloh? How long was it there, Yehuda? 369 years. Until God allowed the PLO to what? To destroy it. God says, I did it once, I'll do it again. Don't test me. Look at 12. You have it, Rav Nochem, 12? Gold, we have another one, if you want another one. 12. For go now to my place in Shiloh, says Hashem, where I caused my name to rest at first, when you first came here, and see what I did. I destroyed my house in Shiloh because of the wickedness of my people Israel. And I'm going to do it again if you don't what? Shape up.
That's it.
And stop slandering each other.
Yeah.
And stop swindling each other. You keep Shabbos and Kashrut. How do I know they did? Because it doesn't mention Shabbos and Kashrut. Doesn't mention Taras of Sprecher. That means that's what they're keeping, Benjamin. What does he focus on? What they were not keeping.
Honesty.
Ben Adam Lechavero. That destroyed the temple. Even though you kept Shabbos and Kashrus. I know, David, because he doesn't mention that. He's just mentioning what they didn't keep. So God says, you're going to test me again? Pasuk 12. Look what I did in Shiloh. And I'll do it again. And 13. 13, and now, because you have committed all these acts, says Hashem, and I spoke to you going early and speaking, but you did not listen. And I called you, but you did not what? Respond. So therefore, what am I going to do? 14. And I will do to the house, upon which my name is called, upon which you rely as a good luck charm, you think gold it's an insurance policy. Right, Lillian?
Right.
Do what you want. Screw the other guy. I have an insurance policy. The temple. No. God says, look at 14. And I will do to the house of which my name is called, which you rely on to protect you, and to the place that I gave you, as exactly what I did to what? To Shiloh. Verse 15. Vishlachti eschem, and I will throw you away from my presence, as I cast all of your brothers, the seed of Ephraim. What does that mean, Yehuda? Remember, 137 years before the Chorban Bayis Rishon, the 10 tribes were exiled.
Yeah.
The 10 tribes are called Ephraim.
Right.
Why? Because most of the kings of the 10 tribes, Yehuda, came from what? Ephraim. He was the dominant tribe of the 10 tribes. The northern kingdom?
Yeah.
So 137 years ago, God exiled them. So God said, if you don't shape up, you're going to wind up like your brothers Ephraim, the Aseres HaShvatim, the 10 tribes of Ephraim, and they wound up in Golus. You're going to go the same way. You hear that? Verse 16. And you, God says to Yirmiyahu, do not daven for this people. Don't daven for them. Yirmiyahu was a Haredi rabbi, Yirmiyahu, right? God says in 16, don't daven for them. See 16? Ata al tispalel ba'adam hazeh. Why not, Golda? Because the temple became a magical good luck charm. These people are not going to hear. I call it hostage theology. You like that, David Harrell? They made God a hostage to their temple. I think it's called hostage theology. God had no choice but to what? Destroy his house. To break the mindset of the hostage theology. Ein breira. God had to make himself homeless to break that mindset. They said God's too heavily invested. He won't destroy his own house. So God had no breira. How do you say that in English? No choice. Breira. Now, know what the Jews said? You know what they said? They said, you're a Novi Sheker. You must be making it up. Jeremiah was a prophet. They all accused him of being a Novi Sheker. You know why, Masha? A Novi Sheker. Because they remembered 140 years ago, before Yirmiyahu told them this, if you look in the book of Kings 2, the Assyrian army, 185,000 strong, surrounded the city of Jerusalem. Ashur, about to destroy the city, 140 years before Jeremiah speaking to them. In one night, what happened, Benjamin? They're all dead. In Pesach night, we say that. Hibachzi alayla, Danish. The night of Pesach, on the Chazkiyahu HaMelech, the entire mighty Assyrian army, 185,000 strong, they all dropped dead in one night. So they said, Jeremiah, what are you talking about? We remember 140 years ago. God will not allow his city to be destroyed. We're too big to fail, unlike Lehman Brothers. They had a good record 140 years ago. The city was about to be destroyed under the Assyrian Empire, and in one night God destroyed them. In the Haggadah, Rabbi Avram, we read it. So God will not make himself homeless. So God says, these people are so verstopt the cup. How do you say that in English? I verstopt the cup. I have to shock them to break the mindset in Pasuk 4 Do not rely on fake news saying the temple of the Lord, the temple of the Lord, the temple of the Lord will save us. No choice. So therefore, God had no choice but to destroy the Beis Hamikdash. The same reason why Moshe destroyed the tablets.
Because God could, you can't make God hostage, really.
Exactly. The Jews said, if we have the tablets, we can do what I want. Judaism is a God-centered religion, not a temple-centered religion, not a tablet-centered religion. The temple became the reason for the sin. They said God is hostage to his temple. So to break that mindset, God had no choice but to destroy the temple, like Moshe had no choice but to destroy the tablets. And therefore God allowed Titus, this blasphemy, to shock the Jews, to shock them. Now when Titus did what he did, the temple was an empty shell. The Shekhinah was already gone. The Romans destroyed an empty shell. We drove away God's presence through our sin. So what was left over was just what?
The building itself.
An empty building. Just an empty building. So what's the message for us? What's the message for us?
We better be nice to each other.
We better be nice to each other, right?
Yeah, we better.
Now look at the name Jeremiah. You see on top of the page, Jeremiah chapter 7, I think it's underlined. Jeremiah was a prophet. See, it says Jeremiah chapter 7 on side B. Why was he called Jeremiah, David? Not the bullfrog. What does Jeremiah mean in Hebrew? I think it's underlined, Chava. See Jeremiah chapter 7?
Yeah.
What does Jeremiah mean in Hebrew?
Raise
Yoram Ka.
raise your hands.
Yoram Ka. Raise your hands. When Birchot Kohanim, what do they do, David? What do Kohanim do?
Raise your hands over the
Yoram Ka. Jeremiah. Yoram Ka. Raise your hands for Birchot Kohanim. Or Chas v'Sholom, Yoram Ka. God raised his hand against us. A double meaning, Sharona? Yoram Ka, God raises hands for Birchot Kohanim, or Chas v'Sholom, Yirmiyah, God raised his hand against us. Because he had no choice. We had him trapped, Kaviyachol, in the hostage theology. How do you say that in French? Hostage theology.
Sounds prettier.
So therefore what? God had to put himself out of business and to shock us. And we were shocked.
Still.
And we did tshuva. But we have a short memory, Rachmiel. And we're repeating those same sins again and again. So Moshe Rabbeinu destroyed the tablets. Besha Chochmah says, because their mindset, Chava, they would deify and worship the Luchot. They would deify and worship the Luchot.
Yeah.
So he had to break it. Nothing has intrinsic Kedusha. Not the temple, not the Luchot. The only thing surely that has intrinsic Kedusha is what? God and the human being. Please hear me well, Ray. Nothing has intrinsic Kedusha except God and the human being. Because every human being is what? Part of God. Beautiful, Isheva. Every human being is part of God. Tzelem Elohim. Chelik Elahai Mimal. Nothing else has intrinsic Kedusha, says the Meshech Chochmah. You can desecrate the temple, no Kedusha. Titus can take a harlot in there, no Kedusha. We decide through our actions which place is holy and which place is what? A desecration. Intrinsic Kedusha is only God and the human being. I'll prove it to you. A Sefer Torah. A Sefer Torah that a min wrote. Who's a min? A Jewish Christian. A Jewish Christian, a guy who believes in J.C. Penney, Yehuda, who writes a beautiful Sefer Torah with a Yud Kei Vav Kei, written perfectly. What do you have to do with that Torah? Danish. Burn, baby, burn. A beautiful Sefer Torah, $50,000, Ray, with all the Yud Kei Vav Kei. If a Jewish Christian wrote it, a guy who believes in J.C. Penney, the Rambam rules, it must be burned with all the holy names. Why? Nothing has intrinsic Kedusha except God and the human being. A Sefer Torah written by a heretic is worse than what? Than a coloring book with all of the Yud Kei Vav Keis. Destroying God's name is a terrible sin, Banish. But if a J.C. Penney guy wrote it, it's less than Sesame Street coloring book. What?
What if a kosher sofa wrote it?
We're talking if the sofa was a J.C. Penney guy.
One that isn't.
Then of course it's a Kodesh. But the point is, it's Kodesh. We decide whether a Sefer Torah is holy. Our behavior. What kind of person are we?
What's our intention when we write it?
We decide what's holy and what's profane. Danish. Incredible over here. We defiled the temple. We destroyed the temple, Dr. Hackett, way before the Romans did. Shelley, you with me on this? The Romans didn't destroy the temple. They destroyed, Lillian, an empty shell. We destroyed it through our terrible behavior against each other. We destroyed it. We made it an empty shell. So when Titus came there, it was already long destroyed.
We're our worst enemy.
Now, always been like that. We are worst own enemies. We are worst own enemies.
Well, today we're the same as they were.
I know,
Right.
thank you.
You said,
What? Rab Chanoch.
you said.
In the context of all
Shh.
in the context of all this, I'm very troubled how the best of Hashem's creation, at a Shabbat table, Red Mila, is destroyed by the worst of his creation,
Yes.
the Arab. How do you put that into context?
The Arabs are not the problem. We are the problem.
That's right.
The Torah warned us in this week's Parsha, if you don't drive out the terrorists, they will terrorize you. Seek him. Says the Ramban, seek him. Rav Avraham, Bamidbar Lamed Gimel Posek Nun Hey. If you don't drive out the terrorists, they'll be seeking be'enechem. Says the Ramban, you sitting down? Besakin chad mibarzel. How will they terrorize you? Says the Ramban in 1265. Sakin chad mibarzel. What does that mean?
A knife.
Sharp knife made out of barzel. Iron. And the terrorist who murdered that family, he put on Facebook, I just bought a sharp knife. How did the Ramban know in the year 1265, David? The very Parsha of the week. God said, you don't drive out the terrorists, they will terrorize you. Seek him, says the Ramban. Take a look, your hair will stand up. Sakin chad. Ma zeh sakin chad?
Sharp knife.
Mi barzel.
From iron.
Thank you very much. Who doesn't know a knife is made out of iron? But the Ramban had Ruach HaKodesh. This week's Parsha, Nebuch Shirley, current events in the Parsha. We didn't drive out the terrorists. So God says, what do you want? I warned you. In Parshas Maseh, I warned you. They'll terrorize you if you don't drive them out.
With knives.
God says, what do you want from me? I warned you. Current events, Parsha of the week, Nebuch. And the terrorist is quoting the Ramban. The terrorist is quoting the Ramban. It's frightening. The Ramban, writing in the year 1265, when he wrote that, The Arabs had no sakin chad shel barzel. What's the Ramban talking about, David? He's talking about our time. We ignored the Torah at our own peril. We don't realize the Torah is GPS. It's God's personal system. It's not some ancient document. It's God's personal system. But they ignored it. Our fearless leaders ignored the Torah. I want to finish with this. I can't leave you without this, Yehuda.
Oh, I thought you finished.
Not finished yet. Don't rush me.
Sorry.
We're blaming Bibi, right? Rav Aaron Kotler Zatzal. He was very Haredi, right? There's a pasuk in the book of Yonah. Yonah Hanavi is escaping on a ship, the love boat. There's a storm about to destroy the ship. He's a Haredi rabbi Navi. He's on the ship with whom? Sailor Sam. Sailors are not the most moral people. Sailor Sam, you have Captain Hook and Captain Crook. So he says to them, Bishvili asar hagodol hazeh. You know why the storm is about to destroy the ship? Not because of you cutthroats. Bishvili asar hagodol. Rav Kotler said, what do you mean? He's a Haredi Navi Hashem. Haredi rabbi. Why do you say it's my fault the storm is to destroy the ship? Maybe it's one of the cutthroats. Maybe it's Captain Hook. The pirates. Said Rav Aaron Kotler Zatzal. Lo Yaleinu, a tragedy strikes Lo Yaleinu, Jewish community. The frum Jew should not point fingers except to himself. I'm the problem. I studied. I know better. It's my problem, not the cutthroats or the chilonim. They don't know no better. Rav Aaron Kotler, Chanoch, he says, I have to blame myself. It's not Bibi, my fault. If I was better, be a trickle-down theory. How do you say in Ivrit? Yeah. Trickle-down theory, Rav Avraham. Trickle-down theory, our coattail effect. The Haredi Jew, it's his problem, said Rav Aaron Kotler. The Pasuk in Yonah, Bishvili, Hasara Godol Hazeh. Yehuda, what does that mean? The storm is my fault.
That's right.
Not Captain Hook or Captain Crook. He never had the chinuch that I had. I know better. I have to change my behavior. So Hashem should help us that what? We change our evil ways.
And find a way to get.
Thank you. Thursday, current events in the Haftarah. Thank you.